like the EFL, it was the opening weekend in Scotland, and it was not maybe how Rangers or Rangers fans wanted it to work out. Celtic won under Brendan Rodgers. They were up against Ross County at home, but Michael Beale's Rangers went to Rugby Park and lost to Kilmarnock. Former Celtic manager Martin O'Neill will join us in a second, but very much contrasting emotions for the two old firm managers, particularly Beale.
Hugely disappointed, not so much with the effort but our quality at times. We had a lot of possession, 18 shots without really working the goalkeeper as well as we should have done towards the end of the first half. I thought we had one or two really good opportunities and we don't take them. So yeah, a really disappointing day. It couldn't be any more disappointing than we expected. A hell of a lot more, me, the players, the staff, but most importantly the fans. So we'll apologise to them and we'll come back strong in midweek.
Yeah, I think result-wise was obviously really good. Disappointed with the 2 goals that we gave away. We didn't start the game well. I thought that we were very slow to get up to speed, and they started with a good intensity and gave us some pressure in that first 10 to 12 minutes. Once we then got to grips with that and started to move the ball, then we played some really good football. It's a difficult challenge when you play against a team that's obviously man-marking, and we worked the goals really well. So pleased overall with the 3 points.
Okay, so Celtic win, Rangers lose on day one. Former Celtic boss Martin O'Neill is with us. Martin, good afternoon. That's it then. Celtic's league, isn't it?
It's funny you should say that, Jim, because when I went up there in the year 2000, Rangers obviously very dominant, not expected to drop too many points. They had played on the Saturday and won their opening game. And then we had to go to Dundee United. And strangely enough, a journalist scared the life out of me by saying pre-match in a pre-match interview, saying, if you don't win today, that's the league over. So it's a frightening thought. I think that far from it, really, although it's a poor start by Rangers, obviously. Got a couple of new players coming in. Celtic go and win earlier on in the day, and then they go in the evening time or early evening time, travel to Kilmarnock. The artificial pitch, something that some of the players that they've just taken on will have to get used to. There's a few of them around, and it was a very poor result, as Beale has just said. But far from it being over at all. Rangers, the problem you always feel about Rangers in the last couple of seasons is that I think that on the day they can compete with Celtic. They're not always win their matches, but it's going to other places that you feel as if Celtic can go and get the result away from home, whereas Rangers might struggle, and that's the point. So they have to address that as much as anything else, because whatever you say about it, 3 points an offer every single game.
Exactly, Martin. Martin, Alex Crook and Martin Keown are with me. Alex, sooner or later, though, I mean, quite simply, Rangers have got to win their next game and their next one, and preferably their next one as far as Rangers fans are concerned, or Beale will find himself in a world of trouble.
Yeah, I think so. And I've tracked Michael Beale closely ever since the situation at Wolverhampton Wanderers, when seemingly he'd agreed to go there, stayed at QPR, then gave that long spiel about how he couldn't possibly contemplate leaving because he's a loyal man. And then he jumped ship as soon as Rangers came calling. So I think Michael Beale, for me, is a manager who's done an awful lot of talking for somebody who hasn't actually achieved that much in the game so far. So I think there is a lot of pressure, Martin, on Beale this season.
Is that fair, Martin O'Neill?
Well, there's always pressure on managers anyway, regardless of where they are, but particularly up in Glasgow. Old Firm, you're not giving that much time to bed in. Sorry, and that's the nature of the game. So
yes.
I don't disagree with what's just been said.
I mean, Chris Sutton, I noticed, was suggesting the very self-same thing to the likes of Chris Boyd and James McFadden at the weekend, that you've got to keep Celtic within touching distance, or quite simply, and I know it's ridiculous, Martin O'Neill, we're still only in August, but the alternative is they'll run away with it.
Yeah, that's the problem, really. And you're absolutely right. You've got to keep them within distance, because suddenly you start opening up a gap early on, and it becomes psychologically dispiriting, to try and fight, to try and win a game, particularly if you play the day after. And let's say Celtic go and win on the Saturday, and you're those 8 or 9 points behind early on. And honestly, it really is a drag. And obviously, conversely, it works the other way as well too. So absolutely, keep it. You've got to keep that. You've got to keep that gap very, very close.
Martin, it's Martin Keown here.
Hello,
Martin, I hope you're well. Just you now had a tremendous record at Celtic manager. So Brendan Rodgers going back a second time. It was interesting watching the interview afterwards. He conceded 2 goals. He wouldn't have been completely happy with that. How difficult do you think it is for him to go back and take that step back? I don't think you went back there to of course you had a tremendous record. Going back there, how difficult is that for a manager? Give us some idea of that.
Well, okay. Well, fine. It was the circumstances in which Brendan left, I think, was the point that perhaps that not
point of
all
contention.
fans.
Yeah.
Yes, the contention is absolutely right, and I think that that has to be taken into consideration. And Brendan is aware of that. Absolutely, you're not going to win everybody over just because you've won the opening game. Matches for Brendan that'll be very, very important, of course, is to take it on, because Postecoglou has done a fantastic job in the last couple of seasons there. Really, really good. Left them with a good side. And Brendan has to just, to pick up the cudgels now and get on with it. But as I said before, and I think I said to Jim the last time, if you win matches, fans start to forget, and that's the most important thing. So from Brendan's viewpoint, just keep winning. European matches will be interesting. Champions League draw coming up probably at the end of the month, and that's somewhere where I think that Celtic will want to do better than they have done in recent times.
Yeah. Martin, on the subject of your beloved Nottingham Forest, we heard Steve Cooper. He spoke to me last week. We played some of it there because it's still highly relevant. Unlike last season, when it seemed to be a revolving door, and so many coming into Nottingham Forest, Steve was saying, I could do with a few more. Do you fear for Forest going into this, or do you think, they'll be all right?
A manager's never satisfied, is he, really, at the end of it? And I take the point. I probably went through that myself. 1 minute you're getting some players in that you feel as if, oh gosh almighty, who's that arriving through the gates? And the next thing you know is that you feel as if, well, it's not the same as last year. Maybe I want some more. So I don't know at this minute, Jim, how many players Nottingham Forest have lost. But that should probably bring them down. If they have lost a number, that should bring them down to about 123. I they'll have enough. They'll have enough there. It's very, very difficult opening game for them. But it's a long season. They pulled through last year, did really well at the end, and I'm sure that sort of experience will stand everybody, including the manager, in good stead.
Okay. Martin and Neil, as always, great to speak to you. We're going to see you in here sooner than later in the studio. In fact, a week today, Martin, you can start getting yourself ready for that. Is that enough time to prepare?
Absolutely, Jim. I probably need an extra week.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.